Oh,
It's another wonderful night down at Crypto Cove. Welcome, everyone. How are you doing tonight?
Doing good,
Tonight,
Hunter.
today, whatever time
fantastic.
it is where
Doing
you
great.
are. Excellent, excellent. So, for the main tonight, once again, we actually have a couple topics to go over. The first is we're going to be going over some common misconceptions or common confusions that are still present in the full flame community. So hopefully this call will help clear up some confusion that some people might have. And after that, we're going to talk about some updates on my Operation Pantheon. And then after that, we're going to have a general Q&A session where it'll be open season for just about anything you could think to ask me. All right, so with that in mind, we'll go ahead and start with the first common misconception. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. And we're over in pool micro lending. And you'll notice again, we have the in wallets and holding sections, but that's not actually what I want to look at for our first bit here, because there's been some confusion as to what you're allowed to do versus how much you have in your wallets and holdings in terms of being able to create loan offers. So I did create a bit of a flow here. I go here. So in short, if you have less than $3,000 worth of PML in your wallet, you qualify to create one loan offer per day. If you have over $3,000 worth of PML in your wallet, then you qualify to create two loan offers per day in pool microloaning. And if you have $6,000 and above worth of PML in your wallet, then all of your loan offers get automatically guaranteed. And let me show you what that looks like. Now, what do I mean by guaranteed? Let's go over to the Lend tab and let's go to the bottom. You'll see that I've gotten my loan offers guaranteed for quite some time. And what this means is that pool micro lending, and by extension, the smart contract that controls most of pool micro lending, automatically takes out and pays off the loan offers that you create. So if you have guaranteed loan offers, that means that your loan offers don't go into the lending pool over here at all. So you don't have to wait. This happens automatically. So let's go back over to dashboard and I'll go back over to my documents. Now that's if you have $6,000 or more of value in PML at that point. Once again, if you do, then any and all loan offers you make are guaranteed, so long as you stay above this 6,000 and above threshold. Now, an exception to that is if you're a whale in any of the four tokens in the pool funding collection. If you are a whale, then all of your loan offers are guaranteed regardless of the situation, regardless of how much PML you have in your wallet. Like, for example, if you have less than $3,000 worth of PML in your wallet, but you're a whale, then you can still make the one loan offer per day, but that one loan offer per day will be guaranteed. Ditto for if you have over $3,000 worth of PML, but you don't reach the $6,000 threshold, you can make the two loan offers per day, and both of them will be guaranteed. And a bit of a finer point that I want to make on that. But first, are there any questions about that bit of a chart that we had up here?
Yes. So when you say guaranteed, that means is that the double funds or how does that what that mean by guaranteed?
It means that the system automatically takes out the loan offer and pays it off. So there's no waiting for someone to pick up your loan offer. It gets automatically picked up and paid off by the system. All right. Any other questions about that bit of a chart we had? Alrighty, so I'll go ahead and share my screen again. And as far as numbers go for what we were just talking about with that chart, the only thing that matters insofar as how you qualify for any of those, the only thing that matters for that is what is marked as in your wallet. So this is the only amount that counts here. In my case, the 3,399. The amount that's in your holdings do not play a factor in that whatsoever. So if you're trying to calculate where you are in that chart, forget about what you have in your holdings because those do not count for this whatsoever. So it's and to put too fine a point on it, the only thing that does count is what you have in your wallet here. And you can also see that over in MetaMask as well, although MetaMask might not show you the amount that you have in terms of value, but it will show you the amount of PML you have. And you can check that against either, well, here in Pool Microlending, or you can also use the calculator on my tooling to do that. So are there any questions about that before we move on to the next common misconception?
Hunter, can you
Yes.
use whatever's in your holdings for anything else?
So your holdings are used for creating loan offers once you have enough in there. So for example, let me go ahead and share my screen again. Okay, so I have over $500 worth of PML in my holdings right now. And again, I'm a whale, so I've gotten this over the past couple weeks, and it's gotten to the point where so long as I stay above a certain threshold, and with that, if we go over to the lending tab, you'll see that instead of from wallets, you'll see from holdings here. So in theory, I should never have any PML taken out of my actual MetaMask wallet ever again for creating lending offers. It'll all come from the holdings here. And my last Crypto Cove call went over the difference between from wallets and from holdings in more detail. So if you haven't watched that, I would definitely recommend that you do so. Alrighty, so are there any other questions before we move on to the next topic? Or next misconception, rather? No? Am I doing my job too well again?
Always.
Alrighty, so I'll go ahead and share my screen again, and we'll get to the next misconception. Actually, let me answer this text 1 sec here. Sorry. Okay, so I'll go ahead and share my screen again. All right, so over in pool funding in the new community offer section, if you haven't visited this section before, what you can do is you can click on the blue Explore tab right here. If you're on mobile, it'll show up as a bit of a hamburger menu near the top right. In your case, that's the Explore tab, but we'll go ahead and click here. And to get to the new community coin offer, what you'll do is you'll go ahead and click this button. We're here already. And again, I've gone over the new community in detail on a previous call, so I won't be going too much into that. But one misconception that I've seen quite a bit of, and I've been asked about quite a bit, is that apparently there's a misconception that if you don't opt into the new community, then when the cutoff date happens on April 6th, then you're completely out of the pool funding ecosystem altogether. That is that that's just not true. If you don't opt into the new community, the only thing that will happen is, well, you won't be in the new community and you won't get the benefits thereof. But your status in the rest of the pool funding ecosystem, either in pool microlending or in pool funding itself, does not change based off of if you opted in here or not. The two are pretty much entirely separate things, basically. And with that, no bit of a concern that some people have had is how they would reach out to me after they've done their opt-in here, because that's ultimately how I can add you to the new community group, is that I need to talk to you first. So how you would do that is you would reach out to me on Telegram, ideally with your transaction hash, and I'm going to show you how to get that. All right, so we're over here in the community coin tab. We never left. But what you would do after you've paid the 100 USDT to opt in is you would click this button that it says view TX on BSC scan. What this means is to view the transaction for the 100 USDT opt-in on BSC scan. So we'll go ahead and click that. Yep, Brave, don't fail me now. All right, no ads, so that's good. And we can see that this was my transaction here. So what specifically we're looking for is up here, the transaction hash. You can see where it says the 0xB5, etc., and ends in 645. So what you would want to do when you reach out to me is you would want to copy this. And BSC scan makes this very easy to do. You can see a symbol here at the end of the long transaction hash here that looks like two pieces of paper. If you click or tap on that, it will go ahead and copy that to the clipboard. So I'm going to copy that. And what you would do with that is you would paste that into a Telegram message to me. And of course, ideally, you would also tell me that, hey, I opted in, here's my transaction hash. Now, if you're not over on the pool funding page to get to this right now, when you decide to reach out to me, or if for whatever reason you cannot find the transaction hash, send me your wallet address and I can analyze it and find the transaction hash from there and verify that you did in fact do the 100 USDT opt-in. But the quickest way to get me to see your message and to get me to verify you is to include the transaction hash. So you heard here first, folks. The quickest way to make things faster for me is to give me as less work to do as possible. And how that generally works is I would copy the transaction hash that you send me. So I'll go ahead and copy it again. Then we would go ahead and look it up on BSC scan. So I'll go ahead and go back to the home page of BSC scan. We'll say that I'm looking at this for the first time. Then I'll paste in that transaction hash that I was thoughtfully sent by, well, myself. And I'll go ahead and hit the enter button and it'll pull up the entry for that transaction. So I can take a look here and make sure, yep, it's coming from my wallet. It's coming from the person who reached out to me. And I can see that it did go to the guarantee wallet. Yep, that's where it's meant to go to. So that looks good. So I can go ahead and give you the thumbs up, verify you, and add you to the private community group. Now, in some cases, I might have to dig a bit deeper, depending on if I know you or not and several other factors. But in general, this is just a good fast track way to get added and get all squared away in the new community. All right, so are there any questions about that before we move on?
Hunter, I do. What, where do we find that page exactly?
Which page?
The page we were just,
The
the one we were just
transaction
on.
entry. Okay, do you mean the transaction entry or do you mean the community coin offer
Oh,
on
no,
pool
no,
funding?
the transaction page to get our hash.
Right, it's over in the community coin offer, and if you've already opted in, you'll see this button that says View TX on BSC scan. You see that?
Oh, yes.
You'll go ahead and click or tap on there, and it'll open up a new tab in your browser with
Okay.
that transaction.
Very good. Thank you.
In your case, Joanne, I have already verified you because Ace actually reached out to me personally about you. So
All
you're
right.
fine. You're in the group. I don't need anything else from you.
Okay. Thank you.
Alrighty. So are there any other questions about that before we move on to the next misconception? Alrighty, so we'll go ahead and move on. So I'll go ahead and share my screen again. The last misconception that I want to talk about is regarding anything Web3 related with the mobile version of MetaMask. And this is something that has persisted for quite a while that we just cannot shake off for some reason. Anything you do with Web3 or anything that's Web3 related, whether it's be accessing pool funding, pool micro lending, doing a swap using Pancake Swap, or using the majority of my tooling has to be done through the browser that's baked into MetaMask or your wallet of choice. The regular internet browser you use to browse the web on your phone just will not work because that web browser has no way to connect with your wallet whatsoever. So what you would do to access the Web3 browser in the case of MetaMask is you would open MetaMask and then you would tap on the Explore tab here. This is the most recent layout as of today, Wednesday, March 18th. Although that could change in the future, MetaMask has certainly changed a few times and bungled up my guides. But let's say you tap there and that'll take you to this page here where for most folks, you can just ignore everything that's down here, ignore predictions, ignore trending tokens. For most folks here, unless you get deep into Web3, none of this will really help you much or do much of any good for you. But what you really want to pay attention to is up near the top where it says search tokens, sites, and URLs. This is the search bar and URL bar for the MetaMask browser. So what you would do is you would then tap there in this field here, and then you can either type in or paste the link that you want to go to and hit enter. So just as a bit of a finer point on that, you absolutely need to use this tool if you're going to interact with MetaMask Mobile and anything Web3 related on your phone. You simply cannot use your regular browser for this whatsoever. It just will not work. And that'll hold true regardless of if you're accessing pool funding, you're accessing pool micro lending, trying to make a swap through Pancake Swap, or accessing my tooling. You'll still be able to go to my tooling sites, but there's quite a bit of functionality that you just will not be able to do. Alrighty, so that was the last misconception on my list here. Does anyone have any questions about that before we move on to the next topic?
No, I don't, but I can tell you that's over my head right now.
Hunter,
Alright,
can you,
yes.
is it possible that you can talk about to be able to get into the new coin community ways to buy USDT?
So how you would typically buy USDT is that you typically wouldn't buy USDT directly. So let me go ahead and share my screen again and showcase that just a bit. We won't be going through the whole process here, but in the case of MetaMask, what you'll probably want to do is you'll open up MetaMask and you see the buy button right here. You'll go ahead and click there, and that'll open up MetaMask's partner portal, and it will allow you to input your information, such as your region of choice, along with your state, if applicable, and it will allow you to type in however much that you want to buy. And one thing I do want to point out is you'll be buying Binance Coin. You will not buy USDT through here. The reason being is that most exchanges that MetaMask partners with just do not support USDT on the Binance Smart Chain. So if you select USDT through here, more often than not, what you'll end up actually buying is USDT on the Ethereum chain, which means quite a bit of hassle trying to fix and quite a bit of cost associated with it. It takes, to give you an idea, it takes $10 to fix that mistake on a good day when you add up all the gas fees and swap fees and whatnot. So it's a bit of an expensive mistake to fix. So the solution is just to not make the mistake in the first place. Make sure you have Binance Coin selected here. And after you bought the Binance Coin, you can go ahead and swap it either through MetaMask itself or through Pancake Swap. But after you put in the amount you want to buy here and you make sure you have Binance Coin selected here, you can select a payment method. A majority of the time, folks are probably going to want to stick with debit or credit, but you may have other options available to you. And we can see that I have a quote from Banksa here, but we can also see more quotes from other exchanges. Like, for example, there's also this one from Binance. And in your case, once you go through the purchasing with the exchange, what will then happen is the exchange will then automatically deliver the BNB to your MetaMask wallet. So if you go through this menu here, then the BNB that you buy doesn't go into an exchange vault, which you then have to go through hoops to try and get over to MetaMask. The exchange will just automatically send it over there. Now, if you don't have any of the exchanges that MetaMask partners with available in your area, or else if you end up running into issues with all the ones that are available in your area, then you may also want to take a look to see if any of the big names are available in your area and you can do business with them. Binance, for example, would probably be the gold standard in that respect since, well, they made the BNB mainnets. So they would have the least fees on the Binance chain because, again, they made it. Failing that, there's also some other exchanges such as Crypto.com and Kraken that offer Binance Coin. And if you have problems with those as well, you can also reach out to Nancy if you have a PayPal or Wise accounts. And in some cases, she will actually do the buy on your behalf if you send her funds through either of those. So there's a lot of different ways for you to get Binance Coin, and in some cases, a couple different ways to get USDT. Like, for example, if you're going through Binance directly, well, they would offer and support USDT on the Binance Smart Chain. So you would be able to get USDT on the Binance Smart Chain through them. And of course, Nancy may offer that as one of her offerings if you go through her. It all depends on how things are going for her at that moment.
So Hunter, thank you for clarifying that. It's a lot of information. It'll be good that I'll be able to go back and take a look at this information. When you talk about whether you have choices, I think Binax was one of them. You have choices as to how to. Forgive me if it doesn't come out right. Binax, and then there was something else underneath it.
Well, Banxa was the first option that came up in the exchanges that MetaMask partners with. Then we
Okay.
had some other options come up if I clicked on show more quotes. And this layout is going to look very similar if you're on mobile, by the way. So yeah, you absolutely have choices. Most of the time, you're going to want to have that partner portal with MetaMask be your first port of call, that being the buy button in MetaMask, because again, then that means that the BNB will get delivered directly to your MetaMask vaults. So that means less hoops for you to go through.
Hunter,
Yes.
what about, honestly, the only experience I've really had has been with Exodus. Do they sell that on Exodus?
Exodus is not an exchange. Exodus is a vault. So any buys that you do through Exodus go through a third-party exchange and not
Uh,
Exodus itself.
I see. So you're probably paying even more.
Yeah. And we're using MetaMask as an example because that's what most users here are going to be using, and that's what you're using as well. So you
Mhm.
would want to go through there anyways, because again, that means less hoops to jump through and less transaction fees that you have to send in order to get the BNB or USDT where it's ultimately going to be heading.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Darlene, you have your hand up.
So what if you don't have Binance? Can I have just mine set up through PayPal?
So if you want to go through PayPal, then I'd suggest reaching out to Nancy. But again, the first port of call that you would want to look over is the buy button over in MetaMask, because there's several different exchanges that do offer Binance Coin that aren't Binance.
So couldn't I just go like I think the last time I add money to my MetaMask or I bought BNB, um, I'm trying to remember. I thought I just did it through. Well, I just had to get with Paul because he had to help me out on that part because this is all confusing to me. But I get with Paul.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
So are there any further questions before we move on to the next topic?
Just wanted to say thank you, Hunter.
Absolutely. Alrighty, so we'll go ahead and move on to the next topic, And that is updates on my tooling with Operation Pantheon. All right, so quite a bit of good news and just a bit of bad news on that front. We'll start with the good news first. Project Iris is completely finished. And for those of you who don't know, Project Iris was my accessibility overhaul for my tool set here, to the point where anyone who uses assistive technology such as a screen reader, or if you're colorblind, then you can more easily use my tooling now. And another element of that I also added in was a navigation page, well, navigation selector, since my tooling now has 4 pages to it, and I want to streamline matters there just a bit. But most everything now has ARIA regions and ARIA labels to it, for those of you who understand that terminology. And you also see that in several cases, I've also darkened the backgrounds for the buttons that I use quite a bit. Reason being is that means that there's quite a bit more contrast for those who are colorblind, or for those who are visually impaired, either using a screen reader or not as of yet. So this makes my tooling quite a bit easier to access for anyone who needs to use assistive technology or is visually impaired in some fashion. And I've done this overhaul for all 4 pages of my tooling. We can see that over here in the more donations options pages. You also see that in some cases I did have to change the coloration of the text from black to white in this case, because the background colors for the brand colors associated with some of these tokens are just really not friendly to anyone using screen readers or anyone who's visually impaired. There's a lot that we could talk about as to the state of accessibility in Web3 as a whole, but then we'd be here for a few hours, and none of us wants that. I've also added dark mode to all of 4 of my pages. So for example, we can go ahead and click the dark mode button here on this page. And sure enough, that activates dark mode. And your selection for either dark mode or light mode is kept in JavaScript storage. So this page will remember that you activated dark mode. And if you want to switch back over to light mode, you can just click on light mode and it'll switch back. Also, you'll notice that I've standardized quite a few things, like my footer at the bottom here now allows you to go back to the main tooling page, as well as to access my terms of use and to view the toolset coding over on the GitHub repo. We can see that I've done something similar in my terms of use page. Again, we have a dark mode here. Of course, then we have, again, the terms of use. And of course, then we have this footer at the bottom that allows you to go back to the main tooling page. And from here, you can access the navigation bar if you so wish to go to another page. Or in some cases, it may also show up in the tooling itself here. All right, so with that, Iris is completely finished. And the next and final page of the next and final phase of the tooling overhaul that I've been working on is Project Aegis. Now, I've spoken a bit about this before in a couple other calls, but in short, Project Aegis is going to be a complete security overhaul of my tooling here. So now that Project Iris is finished, I can move on to that. But I'm going to take a break for a couple days before I start on that and launch Aegis, because I need to make sure that I have all my ducks in a row and I'm doing everything right in as far as that goes. Because, and this is the time that I have a question for each and any of you all. Would you try to rebuild an engine while the car is still driving down the highway?
No, definitely no.
Well, to give all of you an idea as to what this will take and so far as retooling this will go, that's pretty much exactly what I'll be doing. So definitely a big dose of measure-twice cut once here. So needless to say, I mustn't be too hasty about this, because if you're being too hasty when you're doing something like this, it's a security overhaul, it can be very easy for you to make the back problem even worse if something gets done haphazardly or just doesn't get done absolutely correctly. So there's going to be a big method to this, and I have to make sure that I have it planned out exactly right.
So you know what that sound like, Hunter? That sound like
What?
you're on the hood of the car while I'm driving and you trying to fix the engine.
Yep, pretty much. Pretty much.
Woo, Jesus help me.
Alrighty, so with that, Project Aegis will be the last phase in Operation Pantheon. So that will complete this really big overhaul that I've been doing for the past while. It's taken between Iris and Atlas, it's taken around 40 hours roughly of intensive work on my tooling so far. Now, Project Aegis will probably be adding to that quite a bit, although I admit that there's a big part of me that's looking forward to finally getting it all straightened out and to the point where these tools are closer to institutional grade, because that's ultimately what the community requires, since my tooling has effectively grown from being a hobby side project to de facto tooling in the community. All right, so that's the good news. A bit of worse news as far as the first portion of the operation goes, that being Project Atlas. And for those of you who don't know, that was my sustainability project that ultimately kicked off the Operation Pantheon. Now, Project Atlas has not had as much success as I had hoped when I launched it and finished it roughly. Sustainability to the point that I wanted it to be at by now has just not arrived yet. And I'm going to be considering more ways to try and bring stability and sustainability to it even more, because there's definitely quite a few horror stories of what happens when tooling isn't sustainable. If you have some spare time, look over the stories of LeftPad and Etsy Utils to find what happens in cases like that. Now, once you start going through that rabbit hole, you might start to be a bit uncomfortable. Now you know how I feel. So I absolutely do not want that to happen to our tooling here. We've definitely been working quite a bit on that. Well, I've been working quite a lot on that. So I don't want our tooling to become another horror story, which is why I'm taking a look at Project Atlas, and I'm ultimately going to be considering more ways to try and make the tooling more sustainable as time goes on. So definitely keep an eye out for that as well. This isn't going to be the end, it's just the beginning. All right, so are there any questions about anything regarding my tooling or the overhaul before we continue?
Yes, I do have a quick question. So, and I know this is somewhat the training, but is there going to be kind of classes that you're going to create to, you understand what I'm saying? To play with around with it? Because I don't want to play with something I don't know what I'm doing.
That's definitely one of the things that I'm taking under consideration. Although if you're talking about using the tooling itself, then it is pretty self-explanatory. And I have done a few videos going through how to use the tooling before. Alrighty, so with that, we go ahead and move on to the last portion of the call, that being the general Q&A. So this is the time where it's now open season on any and all questions that you may have about the tooling, about Poolfling, about anything Web3 related, or anything regarding me that you may have been curious about. So with that, we begin the general Q&A section.
You know, Hunter, sometimes when you don't really understand something, it's hard to ask a question. And I think Darlene and I are in the same boat. She's got her hand up.
That's over my head, but I'm a flow with it. I'm a flow with it.
Right, right. You know what? It's like one day at a time, honestly.
Yeah. Well, you'll get there, Joanne, and you'll get there, Darlene, definitely.
Yeah.
You'd be go ahead.
I was just going to say I'm good at several different things in my life, but this isn't one of them. I'm a good painter, I'm a good writer, but this is like, I'm not a mathematician, and this is very math to me.
Well, you'd be surprised at how far you've come already. It took me quite a bit of time when I was first getting in cryptocurrency before I really started to think of it as anything more than math to carrying that money. And that will never not be funny to me that I ever
Right?
thought that. But
But when I think back in my past, over the past couple of years before this pool funding, if you mentioned crypto to me, I would just like,
Cringe.
yes,
Me too. I'm still there.
absolutely.
I'm still
I'm
there.
not there. I'm not quite as bad as I was, I'm sure. But the new things,
Mm.
it's, it's like anything else. It's like riding a bike. Once you get on there, you get on there, you
yeah.
know.
But we'll
Yeah,
So,
get it though.
and
We're gonna get it.
yeah, and crypto does definitely have a bit of a steep learning curve. I'll be the
yes.
first to admit that, but it absolutely is a bit of a stair-step sort of thing to where everything that you learn ultimately builds off of the last thing that you learned. And
Hmm.
yeah, ultimately it does all build off of each other.
Yeah. We'll get there, Darlene.
Yeah, I am very confident that both of you will.
Thank
My
you.
head hurts.
Yep, and just to give you an idea as to the confidence I see in a lot of people in the community, even with you two, one day I do truly expect both of you to be able to teach me something.
I believe you.
We'll get
Ooh,
there.
yeah, we will. I believe we will. But this is a lot. And then especially the terminology too. That was another thing. the different words you were saying as you were saying, and I was like, huh? I said, you know what? Let it go, darling. Let it go. Just listen. Just listen. And that's when you see me go like this and like, okay, all right, it's over my head, but I'm a flow with it.
Oh, I have a glossary document that goes over quite a few of the basics in crypto if you want me to send that to you.
Oh, definitely, please, please.
What is that?
It's a glossary document that I made for folks who are new to crypto, and it goes over, explains some of the basic terminology that's used in crypto and Web3. So, Darlene, I'll send that to you over Telegram after the call.
How about me? That might
Alrighty,
help.
all right, I'll send it over to you too.
All right. All right.
Alrighty, so are there any questions, comments? Angelique says, can you please send it to me too? Yeah, go ahead and reach out to me after the call. I forget if I have you on Telegram or not. I mean, I probably do, but anyway, alrighty. So,
Is is this a paid?
no, it's not paid training.
Oh, okay.
Like,
All right.
in general, crypto Cove calls are not paid trainings
I
because
see.
they are not officially sanctioned pool playing activities.
I
This
see.
is this is literally the resident weirdo doing weird things. Right. There have been a couple exceptions to that rule, but those have very, very much been the exceptions rather than the rule.
Okay.
Alrighty, so let me go ahead and check the chat, see if anyone's asked questions in there. Right. Hunter, can someone still be a whale now? So at this point, the whale benefits as well as the whale club itself is closed off, but once it opens back up again, you will be able to start to become a whale again if you so like, but that's going to be quite a bit more challenging because that will mean becoming a whale in our new tokens. And those are going to start out at our price targets that we had for the old tokens as well. So even the cheapest one will be over $500,000. And I know that quotes on the top 50 list of PFI, for example, have over 2 coins. So if you want to become a whale in the token that we end up commensurate with PFI, then you're going to have to plunk down over $1 million for that. And I imagine it's going to be a similar situation for all three of the other tokens in the Pool Flame collection. So you'll still be able to become a whale, but you'll be a lot more challenging.
Will the like PFI, for instance, will that become more valuable? Or do you know what I'm saying? In the new
So
coin, can it be used for the new coin at all?
so the big thing with the lockup that we did is that the amount of GIP tokens that you put up are what you're going to get in the new tokens once they've launched and after the lockup period. So, for example, if you had 0.1 PFI that you locked up, then you'll get 0.1 PF, whatever the new token is commensurate with PFI. And that will start out at $500,000.
Oh, okay.
Those are PML effects or a new token if the price floor is so low. So the latest iteration to the new token is that every $1 of PML gets you $1 million in the new token. The current price of PML does absolutely affect that, but that's also a double-edged sword because with the current low price of PML, that means that you can buy more PML, and that way you'll get that much more in the new token when the
Mhm.
price goes back up before we launch a new token.
Right. So the more
So,
PML,
go ahead.
the more PML, your better chances are.
Yeah, the more PML, the more of the new token that you're going to get.
Yes, yes. Okay. And a yacht. I'm gonna do Hunter's yacht, right? Do I?
I'll, I'll, I'll
Because
keep you in mind, although I might have a private island in mind and
well,
build it out and build out into a
well,
resort.
you'll need a way to get away or get to
Yeah,
in style.
indeed. So if and when that happens, I'll certainly be sending a lot of business your way.
All
Definitely.
right. Nothing like doing a
Alrighty.
yacht.
Alrighty. So with that, are there any other questions, comments, things of that nature?
No, thank you for your call.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, Hunter.
Mhm.
It's not working.
Alrighty, so with that, we'll go ahead and close out as per tradition. But before we start out, we'll definitely do our two requisites for my calls here. The first is a message directed to the folks watching this on YouTube. YouTube tells me that the majority of people that watch my videos are not subscribed to the channel. So if you're a Pool Flame member and you enjoy these calls, then hitting the subscribe button would definitely be helpful because number one, that helps the channel, and number two, that helps other Pool Flame members just like you discover my channel and discover all the excellent content that we have here with the video on demand calls.
Fabulous.
And for everyone in general, is as I've noted several times before, I do these calls entirely independently. I am not an official part of Pool Hunting. This is absolutely the resident weirdo doing weird things. I do this because I enjoy helping people and I truly enjoy sharing my knowledge with others. And in some cases, like this one, making sure everyone's on the same page about certain topics. Now, please don't feel pressured to donate to me, but if you find this information useful and you want to show your appreciation, donations are gratefully accepted to the wallet address I just put in the chat. And for those of you on YouTube, I'll also have the wallet address in the video description down below. So with that, we'll go ahead and close out as per usual. Does anyone think I'll get it right this time?
Of course.
Alrighty. 3, 2, 1. To the moon! Yes! Alrighty.
Thanks, Hunter.
That's a good place. Yep, that's a good place to stop as any. So I'll go ahead and stop the recording.